Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Loomer Unleashed. I'm your host, Laura Loomer, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about how Ron DeSantis is an enemy to the January 6th political prisoners. Now, a lot of people aren't aware of the fact that Florida happens to be the state with the largest number of J6 defendants. You would think that a governor that oversees the state of Florida, the state with the largest amount of J6 defendants, would be outspoken in his support of the January 6ers and their plight for justice. You would think that Governor Ron DeSantis would be issuing statements condemning the mistreatment of these prisoners and doing everything in his power to assist them so that they don't rot away for the rest of their lives in prison. However, the exact opposite is happening. Now, the media hasn't really questioned Ron DeSantis on his anti-J6 position, but it became unavoidable this week when Ron DeSantis decided to take a shot over President Trump and the new indictment that he's facing regarding January 6th. Republican voters and Trump supporters were quick to attack Governor Ron DeSantis for what they argue is a use of talking points from the Democrats' Gestapo-like January 6th committee. This week, President Trump was faced with a third indictment over January 6th, and Ron DeSantis seemed to be okay with that. For some, these comments were shocking, but if you've been paying attention to Ron DeSantis like I have, then you know he has a documented history of anti-J6er rhetoric. In fact, back in February of this year, I produced an investigative report exposing how Ron DeSantis is an enemy to the January 6th political prisoners. And of course, this dates back to his mentality as a prosecutor. In fact, during a news conference in the Villages where I ran for Congress in 2022, Ron DeSantis was quoted saying, "I'm actually glad to see some of these people being arrested from the DC thing because I think that prosecutions will really make a difference. I think it was a really unfortunate thing," end quote. So there you have it. In his own words, Ron DeSantis said that he's actually happy to see certain individuals be prosecuted over January 6th. And as if that's not already bad enough, in June of 2022, there was a report published documenting how Ron DeSantis was quietly waiting to file to run for president, hoping that Donald Trump would be indicted over January 6th. And you see, that's what Ron DeSantis' entire strategy for getting elected as president is. He has no real talent of his own, and he knows that he owes his entire political career to Donald Trump, and he wouldn't have been governor of Florida, and he would have lost to Andrew Gillum, a crackhead, in 2018, had it not been for Donald Trump coming to Florida and endorsing him against his advisors' wishes. And so now the only thing that Ron DeSantis can do amid his dwindling poll numbers and failing presidential campaign is hope that President Donald Trump is arrested yet again and indicted and somehow unable to run for president in 2024. Along with hoping that Donald Trump is indicted over J6 and publicly declaring how happy he is to see January 6 protesters arrested, Ron DeSantis has also allowed for Capitol Police to set up an office in Tampa, Florida, for the sake of hunting down and tracking down Trump supporters who were in attendance for the protests on January 6, 2021. Now, why would Ron DeSantis allow for Capitol Police to have an office in Tampa, Florida? We've seen tons of evidence that suggests and proves that the FBI and federal informants were instigating violence on January 6th, and we've also seen surveillance footage that shows that Capitol Police officers allowed for the Trump supporters to enter the Capitol, and in some instances even opened the doors for the Trump supporters. It's pretty clear from his own actions that Ron DeSantis has absolutely zero sympathy for any of the January 6th political prisoners and their families. But don't take it from me. Take it directly from the mouth of the family members of several January 6 political prisoners who are from Florida. This is Jerry Perna. Jerry Perna is a Floridian, and she also happens to be the aunt of Matthew Perna. Matthew Perna was a January 6 defendant who tragically took his life because he couldn't handle the pressure that came along with being persecuted by the government for simply protesting on January 6. And what has Ron DeSantis done about this? Well, take a listen from Jerry Perna yourself.
Ron DeSantis has nothing to do with any of the people from Florida, and there are more people in Florida than any other state who were arrested for January 6th, and he ignores every one of their calls. People are desperate.
Ron DeSantis should be ashamed of himself. He has a documented history of ignoring the calls of January 6ers and their family members who have been begging him to get involved and assist them with their cases. And if the case of Matthew Perna isn't heartbreaking enough for you, take a listen to this case of another Floridian woman whose husband has been jailed and even denied his cancer treatment as a result of being locked up over January 6th.
I'm from Florida. No one in Florida, Governor DeSantis hasn't reached out to us.
Say that again.
Governor DeSantis has not reached out to us. our local representatives, nothing. Nobody has helped us. We need help. Please and thank you very much for your support. Really appreciate you.
Video doesn't lie, folks, and as you can see from this video, both of these women have said that Ron DeSantis has been ignoring their calls and requests for help. It really makes you wonder, how low can Ron DeSantis go? He doesn't find it necessary or important enough to get back to a woman, a Florida resident whose husband is literally being denied cancer treatment while he's having his due process rights violated over January 6th? I guess Ron DeSantis doesn't care because he's too busy jet-setting across the country to Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada, pretending like he's going to be the next president of the United States. Not only has Governor DeSantis publicly applauded Capitol Police for hunting down Trump supporters and hauling them to prison, but he even commended Capitol Police for doing an admirable job after they murdered Ashley Babbitt and Roseanne Boyland. In a statement on January 6, Ron DeSantis tweeted, "Violence or rioting of any kind is unacceptable, and the perpetrators must face the full weight of the law. The Capitol Police do an admirable job, and I thank them for their hard work." But wait, there's more. Meet Jeremy Redfern. Jeremy Redfern is Ron DeSantis' press secretary. Immediately following January 6, Jeremy Redfern tweeted that he wanted to see President Trump get impeached. And he also took it a step further when he said how to fuck around and find out in response to Ashley Babbitt being assassinated by a Capitol Police officer on January 6. Why does Ron DeSantis have a press secretary who is still employed to this day, even throughout his presidential run, even after Jeremy Redfern tweeted celebrating the assassination of a U.S. veteran, Ashley Babbitt? It's absolutely depraved and despicable, and it really shows you who Ron DeSantis truly is. That's a fireable offense as far as I'm concerned, but last time I heard, Jeremy Redfern got a promotion even after he tweeted those disgusting and vile things about Ashley Babbitt. And what did Jeremy Redfern do after I exposed him for tweeting he wanted President Trump to be impeached and celebrating the death of Ashley Babbitt? Well, he scrubbed his Twitter account. As you can see from my own archived Twitter post, after I exposed this information about Jeremy Redfern prior to Ron DeSantis filing to run for president, he deleted all of his tweets from 2009 to January of 2022. To this day, Jeremy Redfern is still Ron DeSantis' official press secretary, which means he's being paid by the taxpayer dollars of Floridians. Shameful. Additionally, prior to winning re-election in 2022, one of the members of Ron DeSantis' administration was the Florida Agricultural Commissioner, Nikki Fried. Under Ron DeSantis' first term, Nikki Fried unconstitutionally stripped dozens of Floridians of their concealed carry permit simply because they attended the rally in support of President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. These are not people who were arrested or jailed or committed any violent acts. No, these are Floridians who had their Second Amendment rights completely violated in the state of Florida under Ron DeSantis' watch simply because they attended a rally in support of President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021. So not only is Ron DeSantis in favor of the January 6ers being locked up, not only does he want Donald Trump to be indicted and jailed over January 6th, and not only has he welcomed the Capitol Police to the state of Florida with open arms to hunt down Trump supporters, but he's also violating your gun rights if you are a Floridian who attended the rally in J6 in Washington, D.C. Now, as the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis had the authority to reprimand Nikki Fried or at least issue a statement condemning her actions violating the Second Amendment rights of Floridians, but he never did that. He never issued a statement condemning her for her anti-Trump actions and her abuse of power as the Commissioner of Agriculture, where in the state of Florida, your concealed carry permit is reviewed and either accepted or denied. In a tweet posted on October 19th, 2021, Nikki Fried said, "Today I'm announcing the suspension of 6 licenses of domestic terrorists who participated in the January 6th insurrection attempt against the United States. That brings our total to 28 suspensions. As more charges are filed, we will continue to hold these traitors accountable." Traitors? Really? So you're a traitor if you support Donald Trump and you attend the rally on January 6th? You're a traitor who deserves to have your Second Amendment right violated in the state of Florida? Yeah, so much for Florida being the free state of Florida. Just another lie peddled by Ron DeSantis. Now, in comparison, Donald Trump has committed to give full pardons to all of the January 6th political prisoners, and he has also hosted several events at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Palm Beach, Florida, for the family members and the advocates of several January 6th political prisoners. Meanwhile, Ron DeSantis can't even lift a finger and issue a statement in support of these January 6ers who are being denied their cancer medication. So who do you want representing you in the White House? Somebody that's going to fight against political persecution and the weaponization of government? Or somebody like Ron DeSantis, a former federal prosecutor who is expressing glee and joy over the fact that Floridians are being jailed for their role in January 6th. If GOP voters around the country are somehow undecided over who they're going to support for the GOP nomination in 2024 between Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump, I'm pretty sure that the decision is very easy to make. If you believe that the DOJ is abusing its power to carry out political persecution and witch hunts, and you believe that the January 6th political prisoners are victims who deserve full pardons, then you need to vote for President Donald Trump, because as I just exposed, Ron DeSantis is an enemy to the January 6th political prisoners, which means that he is an enemy to a free America, free of a weaponized government. I'm Laura Loomer, and if you enjoyed this content, please be sure you subscribe to my Substack, lauraloomer.substack.com. It's free to subscribe, but if you want to support my independent journalism, you can subscribe for $7 a month or $70 a year. Also, please be sure that you're following me on Twitter, Gab, Getter, and Truth Social at Laura Loomer. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the sponsor of this episode of Loomer Unleashed, Goldco. Banks are getting bailed out, and who's going to pay for it? You are. They say that taxpayers won't pay, and they say that other banks will pay. But how are those banks going to get the money? They'll probably raise your bank fees like they always do. And if the Fed step in, you'll likely also be paying an inflation tax. In times like this, storing all your money in a bank may be very risky, as we have seen. So what can two average Joes like you and I even do about it? You can protect your wealth with gold and silver, just like so many other Americans and even banks are doing right now. Call 855-317-5157 or visit goldco.com/Laura Loomer to learn how to protect your savings with gold and silver. Take action today to protect yourself and your family from financial collapse. Again, call 855-317-5157 or visit goldco.com/Laura Loomer and learn how you could get up to $10,000 in bonus silver while supplies last. That's 855-317-5157 or goldco.com/Laura Loomer. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Loomer Unleashed.